Hey guys, I'm here today to teach you about the concept of macro value versus macro exact. This concept is for anybody. So if you are a newbie to macros and you don't even know where to start, or you have been doing macros for a little while and you feel completely overwhelmed with trying to do the math magic at the end of the day and figure out how to get everything in, or maybe you are a seasoned pro and been doing it for a while, but you just can't seem to trust yourself and step away from the tracker. Whatever it is, this concept is for you, and I want to help you understand how you can apply macros into your life to make them work for you without it just being a solely focus on a number. Because that's, I think, where everyone gets so hung up. Even when you are a seasoned pro and you've been tracking forever, you get hung up on that number, and that number is the magic, and that's what's going to help you keep the weight off. And it's not. What you have learned, the value of macros, that is what you need to take away, and that's what you need to start applying. So before we even get started, I want to talk about what a macro count is, okay? So a lot of times, those of you that are new, you might come into macros and say, oh, this looks like the greatest thing on earth, and you go to a coach and you get a customized macro count, and you step away really not knowing what it is. So you come away with this. Say you get 1625 calories. That's what they tell you. That's your allotment. And then out of that, you're going to have 125 of that is for grams of that is for protein. That's not a 153 grams is for carbs, and then 68 grams are for fat. Okay? So before you even get started with this concept, I want you to ask yourself two questions. If you were to get this customized macro count, the first question I want you to ask yourself is, what do you know about this number when it comes to the foods that you like to eat? Could you tell me how you would be able to manage that in the current habits that you have? Could you tell me, yeah, I eat a high carb diet. That is what I eat. Or no, carbs are hard for me to get in. I just love my fats. Do you know that about yourself? If you can't answer yes to that, don't even go here yet. You need to do some research for yourself and understand what it is, what the foods are that you currently eat, so that you can make an assessment and say, wow, it's going to be really hard for me to get my protein in because I don't even reach that number, even close to that number on a daily basis. So that takes me into question number 2. Could you tell me how you could get 125 grams of protein in? Could you tell me how you could get 153 grams of carbs in? Do you know what your sources are that would allow you to get to that point? If you can't answer that, again, you need to stop, and we need to start finding the value in your macro before you can find the exact number. Okay, before we dive really into this, I want to get some clarifications going for you real fast. There is a difference between macro exact and macro value, obviously, when it comes to a numbers versus a value. But what does it have to do with you in regards to your weight loss? Are you going to lose both? Are you going to be able to lose weight if you do a macro value? Yes. Are you going to be able to lose weight if you do a macro exact? Absolutely. Here's the difference, okay? If you are overwhelmed and you are stressed, and say you have 30 pounds to lose, macro value can help you. If you are someone that is really working on their body composition and really wants to lose fat and add muscle, macro exact is where you need to be. This is something that is a little bit more a higher level of dedication. If you want to put that in, go for it, do it. But you have to be understanding that if you're doing macro value, yes, you're going to lose weight, but it's going to be a little bit slower of a process, and that's okay. Is it way better to do a slower, steady, continuous, consistent, you lose weight and you get there? Or is it better to be overwhelmed and just quit? Okay, you have to decide what level of effort you want to put into it to get accelerated results. Macro exact is going to give you those accelerated results because the breakdown is going to be what's customized to your body, and a good coach is going to be able to tell you that. But don't underestimate the value of macro value in your weight loss. And here's why. This is the breakdown of macro value and the macro exact, okay? You have that exact number I talked to you guys about. We have the 1625, all of that breaks it down for the macro exact. That's how your day looks. Every single day you're going to get food in that's going to make it so that that math magic at the end of the day happens and you get it all in. What is macro value? This is your macro value. What is the food giving to you? Can you tell me, what does an apple provide for you? Is that something that's giving you protein? Is it something that's giving you a fat? Or is it something that's giving you a carb? Or is it something that's giving you a little bit of both? I want you to find value in your macros and not just a number. I want you to look at that apple and I want you to say, what is this apple giving to me? This apple is giving me fuel in the source of carbs, okay? So look at it as, is it a higher carb or a lower carb source? And you get to be the one that determines what that value to you is. I'm going to use me as an example because that's just the easiest. So say I have that apple, that luscious apple that we all love so much. What is that apple giving to me? That apple to me, because I have tracked and I know things, and this is where you need to do your research if you're a newbie. Spend a couple of weeks just tracking your foods, not for a calorie number, not for a macro number, to just gain information. You eat an apple, what is that giving to you? Well, I've been doing it long enough. It's about 25 grams of carbs for me. That would be your, sorry, wrong side. Apple, 25 grams of carbs. That would be over here, you guys. 25 grams of carbs, okay? That is your macro exact. Over here, my macro value for that apple is now apple for me, 25 grams. That's about a medium carb, okay? That's a medium carb for me. So if I'm eating an apple, I'm deciding to have a meal that has about a medium carb level for me, okay? So then we come over here and we say, okay, I'm going to have some jerky, and I'm going to have about 2 ounces of jerky, okay? For me, that's going to give me about 12 grams of protein, okay? There's your exact. For here, you go over to your macro value. What is that jerky giving to you? If you're doing 2 ounces of jerky, what is that value to you? And to me, that again is a medium protein. Okay? Break it up into a value versus exact. If you are struggling to hit your numbers and that at the end of the day and it's overwhelming you, switch your mindset to these foods being what value do they have. Now, how can you take that and put it into a meal or into your day? This is how you do it, okay? You get to assess the value based on your needs. Over here, the value was assessed for you, right? You had the 125 protein, you had the 153 carbs, and you had the 68 fat. That was all assessed for you, okay? This isn't telling you whether it's a high, low. It might be based on your body weight, based on your height, whatever it is. Over here, you get to determine a value for what you want. So again, using me for an example, I have done my research. I have looked at my body and know what I need. And I can say to me, for a carb, the value to me is anything that is 25 or up is a high carb, okay? Anything for me that is 20 to 25 is a medium carb, or sorry, not 20, I don't know my math. Anything that is 15 to 25 is a medium carb, and anything that is lower than 15, I'm going to count that as a low carb, okay? Now, this is just for a single item, okay? Now you can take this same concept and you can put it into a meal. Create a meal, and now you can say, I've eaten this meal enough times that I know it is a high carb with a high protein and a low fat, because you do the same thing for a protein, okay? I'm going to look at protein and I'm going to say anything for me that is 20 or up, that is a high protein, okay? Then anything for me that is 10 to 20 is a medium, and anything lower than 10 is a low protein. These values are going to change based on your macro, okay? Protein is essential. You need to get higher and you need to get up. Carbs, they're about medium. And then fats, it depends on your goal, what you're trying to aim for. But again, I'll give you the example for a fat. I'm just going to write it down here. Sorry, guys. So for me, a fat, anywhere between anything higher than a 10 is going to be considered a high fat for me. Anything between a 5 and a 10 is going to be a medium fat. And anything less than 5 is going to be a low fat. Okay, again, you can associate this to a food item, or you can say it to a meal item. And now what do I mean by that? Let's take it and let's break it down into a meal. Okay, so now we're going to break it down into a meal. We had those values, and so then I'm going to have my meal number 1, and I'm going to have my meal number 2, and my meal number 3. Okay, maybe you eat more meals throughout the day. It doesn't matter. You can make it however it works for you. But I'm going to look at my egg sandwich that I had for breakfast, and I'm going to look at it and say English muffin. I know for me that is a higher carb. Then I'm going to look at my egg whites, and I'm going to say I know for me that is a medium protein. And then I'm going to look at my cheese, and I'm going to say that's a low fat for me, because I can look at those values. I've done the research. I know a ballpark of the number it's going to give me. But I'm not just doing math magic in my head and trying to calculate all these numbers. I'm placing value on that meal. So if I have an English muffin, I'm going to look at it and I am now going to say that meal number 1 is going to be a high carb, medium protein, and a low fat. Now I can look at my other meals and know what I need to get in. If I have a medium protein for my breakfast, I know I need to start upping the protein for the rest of my day. So my meal 2, I can look at it and I can say, all right, well, I need to up the protein. So I'm going to up the ounces of my chicken. So I'm going to have over here, I'm going to have a high protein. And I had a high carb, and so I look at my dinner and I say, you know what, we're going to be having hamburgers, and I really want to have the bun tonight, okay? The bun is a carb. You know that, so you know there's going to be a higher carb here. You now know the value. I want you to apply that information to your lunch. So for me, I know I want a low carb lunch, okay? Then I can up the fat here. Since I have low carb, I'm going to go high fat. Okay, so I decided to make a salad with some extra ounces of chicken breast, and I threw in some avocado, and I threw in some bacon bits. I upped the fat, okay, because I know that it's carb. I don't know the exact value of it, but I know that those are higher fat foods for me. Then down here, your meal 3, you have your high carb, okay, and then I'm going to do a high protein again, because I have my hamburger with my meat, and then I'm going to do low fat. I'm going to skip the avocado, okay? I might do a spread cheese, a Laughing Cow cheese instead. Add this all up. This can still come into your 1625 calorie goal, okay? We still want that to go in your 1625, and we still want to work on hitting that 125p, okay? Now, you're probably going to throw in a few snacks and stuff around here, but don't focus so much on trying to make some math magic happen, and just focus on the macro value, okay? Because if you can do that, it's going to make it a lot less overwhelming, and you're going to learn so much. that in time, you can start to do the actual exact numbers and you can start seeing a little bit more accelerated results. You can start maybe looking into body composition and changing that and building muscle and losing fat. But if you are just stuck at weight loss and you are just really wanting to lose extra pounds, you have to focus on what is going to be the best thing for you and help you, and it could be the macro value. Stop focusing on the exact number and start focusing on the value. Now, for those of you that may be macro pros and you're wondering how in the world do I apply this to step away from the tracker, this is what you do. You do the value. You start to trust what you know and stop trying to look at a meal as that egg sandwich gives me this exact amount of carbs, this exact amount of protein, and this exact amount of fat. What does that egg sandwich do for you? Trust what you know. I can't emphasize that enough. If you have been doing this for a year, you guys, you have so much information, you don't even know it. You've been focusing so much on a number. Spend the next couple weeks still tracking to hit that exact number, but focus on the value. When you can do that, you can slowly step away from the tracker. You can start to not track one meal and have your whole day planned out except for that one meal, and then you look at your day and you look, okay, I have this many carbs, this much fat left over. Now think, what do you know? What kind of meal can you create with that value, not what can you create with those numbers. Then you do that for a week, you step away, maybe you do track only one meal, and you know what you have left. Trust yourself, you guys. You know what you are doing. Don't allow a tracker to dictate the rest of your life, because I can promise you, you won't want it. All right, you guys, whatever stage of your macro journey you are in, I can promise you that if you just apply this concept, it will be life-changing for you. I have some resources for you that will help you apply this concept into your life. If you're a newbie, if you're a macro pro, if you just are overwhelmed, I have some 5-page resources that is going to help you with a protein list, a carb and fat list, a shopping list. Head to the link that you see below or DM me if this is Instagram. Feel free to message me and I can get that link set up for you or sent to you. Don't hesitate to ask questions, you guys. I'm here to answer them. I just want to make this as simplified as possible because I know how important macros has been to my life and how beneficial it has been to take the time to learn and apply. And I know you can do it too.